Hi everyone, you're watching WAS D20. My name is Nate. Today's video is intended for newcomers to D&D to give you a little more comfort with the game and to help you understand what the heck this game is and how it works. For this one, I'm assuming that you have a character sheet, that maybe you've seen some of my character creation videos, and our goal here is really to understand, now that you have a character sheet, now that maybe you've created a character, how do all these numbers and words work in actual practice in the game? What do they mean, and how do we apply them to the game? So to do that, we're going to actually be playing a sample session of Dungeons & Dragons. I will be both the player and the DM, and we'll give it a shot here. Should be kind of fun. If you don't have a character sheet, I recommend you check out my website, wasd20.net, on the resources tab there, and I'll put a link to this in the description. I'll have a section there with some pre-generated characters, including the one that I'm using today, and you can download those, check them out, and follow along with me what I'm doing. Or if you're feeling adventurous, you could try to create your own character sheet. I also have a whole series of videos dedicated to that. Now, I just want to say that this video is totally optional. Let's say that you've been invited to play Dungeons & Dragons for the first time and you're wanting to learn all the rules before you show up to actually play. Well, good luck with that. The rules are pretty dense. There's a lot to learn about the game, and I would never attempt to do something like that in this video. It would be hours long. If you've been invited to play in a game, one of the best things you can do is just show up with an open mind. If you have a good dungeon master and a good group, they're going to welcome you and teach you the rules on the fly as you go. That's how I learned. But that said, if you want to learn how some of the basics of the game work in practice, this video is for you, so keep watching. With that out of the way, let's get down to the game. Here we have our battle mat. You don't always play D&D with a map like this, but some people prefer to. If you're not playing with a map, you're just kind of imagining things, and we call that the theater of the mind. But for our sake today, just to have a visual, we'll be playing with a map, and we'll be playing with minis too. First, I'd like to just say a word about the Dungeon Master. The DM in Dungeons & Dragons is the lead storyteller. The rest of the players should also be a part of the storytelling, and depending on the DM, it could be a very big part of the storytelling. But the DM is the lead storyteller in general. The DM is also the adjudicator of rules. They make the calls on what goes and what does not, and sometimes they can choose to bend the rules a little bit for the sake of the game. They don't normally play a character, but they do play multiple non-player characters. So they're not going to be a party member in general, but they do get to play lots of characters. The DM also describes scenes, creates obstacles and adventures for the players, all the while trying to adapt to player actions. So usually you begin a session of D&D with the Dungeon Master setting the scene. In this case, when I'm speaking as the DM, I'm going to do my best to have the red D20 out here, and when I'm describing the actions of the player and speaking in my player's voice, I'll have the purple D20 out here. Now today I'll be playing as Erdon Seroshent, who is a wood elf fighter. He happens to be the character I play in the Provokers campaign, and he's level 3. Usually you'll be starting at level 1, but I just happen to have this level 3 character sheet handy, so I figured I'd use this, and it'll give us a few more abilities to play around with too during the session. So we generally start with our Dungeon Master setting the scene with a little exposition, a little narration, if you will. So now the Dungeon Master is going to set the scene. You are Erdon Seroshent, a young wood elf soldier who has been tasked with scouting the position of a fierce orc vagabond known as Elosk the Man-Eater. Rumor has it he has moved into the area, and everyone knows he is no good. The village elders have tasked you with finding his location, so that a raiding party might be sent to root him out. Alright, now, Erdon is a bit of a brash soldier, shoot the arrow now and ask questions later type of guy. So, I have a feeling he's not going to be so into the task of scouting, but he's going to try to take out Elosk himself. If I'm playing in character, that's what I'll probably do. Now as the player, one of the first things you need to know about D&D is you just narrate your action. So I am going to say, I walk down the path to the river to see if I see any footprints. Now the DM might say, you see footprints scattered about in the mud, and they're going in many directions. Okay, well I think I want to move a little closer here and see if I see anything on or across the river. Anyone across the other side, perhaps? You don't see anyone, but you do see a fishing line out in the middle of the river. Looks like it's coming from your side of the river. Okay, well, I think I want to try to sneak along the back here and see if I can see anyone from further back so as not to alert them. Now, the DM might decide that I need to be stealthy, but in this case, the sound of the river is loud enough where I can do it without making a stealth check. So, I sneak along here, and the DM says, "On a rock, you see with his back to you, a man. He's wearing leather, and he is holding a fishing pole." A man. Well, I have a feeling he might be able to give me some good information. So I'm just going to knock an arrow, just in case. Pull out my short bow, knock an arrow, and I'm going to call out to him. "You there!" Now, what I just did is I spoke in my character's voice. Rather than just saying, "I call out to him," I said, "I call out to him," and then I actually did call out to him in character voice. Now, your character might actually have the same voice as you. You don't have to put on a funny accent. Some people enjoy that, some people don't. But the point is, you're speaking in the first person kind of, well, you're speaking from a first person perspective. You're immersed. And so that's a style I prefer, but everyone has different styles. Some people might just say, "I call out to him to try to get his attention." Anyway, I call out to him, "You there!" And the DM says, he turns around looking quite startled, and he says,
"What was that? Who goes there?"
I say, "Have you seen anyone traveling around here? Any signs of, well, an orc?"
An orc? Well, no, I can't say I have. I'm just here minding my own business, trying to catch some fish.
So as the player, I have a feeling this guy might not be telling me the truth. I feel like he might not be totally honest with me. So I'm going to try to figure out, can I tell if he's nervous? Is he shifting? And can I tell if he's telling me the truth? Now, the DM's going to say, "Make an insight check." Alright, so we have our very first skill check. This is an essential part of D&D. Our skills are all listed on the character sheet right here. And in Erdan's case, we find that insight has a +2 bonus. For all skill checks, and this is true of most D20 games, not just D&D, you're going to be rolling a D20 and then adding the appropriate modifier. For insight, which is how I would tell if he is telling the truth or not, I'm going to roll my D20 and add 2. So, here we go. Alright, I have my assistant here, 5-year-old Caleb, and he rolled a 17 for me. Excellent work, Caleb. So, 17 plus 2 is 19, so the DM's going to say, "You can tell that he is not being very truthful. He is shifting, he is twitching, and looks very nervous." Okay, so he's not being totally truthful with me. Well, Erdan again is kind of a brash guy. I think I'm going to move up, and I'm going to try to intimidate him. I'm going to keep my arrow knocked, and I'm going to move closer, glaring at him, raising my bow just slightly, and tell him, "You had better be truthful with me. I can tell you know something else." Make an intimidation check. Alright, so now I'm going to make my second skill check. Intimidation for Erdan. You can see I have a +1 to intimidation. Actually, Caleb's going to roll for me. Alright, he rolled a 7, which, intimidation +1, that's an 8. And I'm going to say that this guy is probably not going to be intimidated by that. So, as the DM, I will say, he stares you down and says,
"Don't you threaten me, elf. I have powerful friends."
What to do? So he's just staring me down. Well, I think I'm going to back off. I don't think I want to provoke a fight with this guy. I'm going to back off and say, "Alright, well, I'm going to be on my way, and you stay out of my way." And he's going to move on to keep looking for this orc. I move away, but I continue to watch my back as I move. Alright, so I failed to intimidate that guy and wasn't able to get any information from him. So I'm going to keep moving, and I'm just going to try to, kind of sneak around and see what I can see if I see any other tracks or anything out of the ordinary. I think I'm going to move this way. Stop. When you get right here, you hear a sharp twang, and you need to make a dexterity saving throw. Alright, so saving throw. This is my very first saving throw, and they're similar to skills in some ways. They are based on our abilities, ability scores and ability modifiers, just as the skills are. But they're more general. So in this case, I'm going to be making a dexterity saving throw. And I have a +2 bonus there. So saving throws are things that you'll face that you need to resist in some way, whether it's through the force of mind and will, or through the just brute strength or constitution or whatever. In this case, it's kind of quickness and agility. So if something is going to be falling on me, just tell you it's a falling net trap. So I have to make a dexterity saving throw. And I make a 5 plus 2 gives me a 7, which is not going to be enough. The DC on this is 10. That's the difficulty. So that's not going to be enough. So a net has fallen on me. Alright, I am knocked down. And I am going to try to get to my dagger and try to cut myself free from this trap. Alright, so I'm going to reach for my dagger and see if I can hit this thing. It says in my book here that the net has an armor class of 10, so I have to get 10 to hit. This is kind of like combat here. I'm going to be using my dagger, and I have a +4 attack bonus, so I'm going to roll my d20, and I'm going to add my attack bonus of 4. 17 plus 4 is 21. I had to get 10 to get this net, and so that is a hit. My damage for my dagger is 1d4, which I have here, +2. So here we go. Alright, I got a 2, +2 is 4, and that is not quite enough. So I'm not able to cut a big enough gash in this with my dagger. I think I'm going to try to just throw this thing off. It's probably weighted down in some way. I'm just going to try a strength check to throw it off. So in this case, this is just a straight up strength check here. It's not really a saving throw so much. And so I have a +2 to strength, and I need to get a 10 in order to throw this thing off. I got a 2. Alright, so it's not working so well. I'm stuck in this net. I'm going to give it a shot with my dagger again. Alright, 16 plus 4 is 20, so I definitely am able to hit. And now I'll roll 1d4 plus 2 damage. 3 plus 2 is 5. You cut a gash that is big enough in the net, slashing it with your dagger in order for you to be freed from its grasp. Alright, so I'm out of the net there. Bit of a struggle. I think now I'm going to actually try to climb this tree. That trap has made me suspicious, and I'm going to try to climb the tree and see what I can see. See if I see anything out of the ordinary in this area. The DM might decide that I need to make a check in order to climb the tree, but in the interest of time here, I'm just going to say I'm able to climb the tree. So what do I see from up here? I'm looking for anything out of the ordinary. Straight ahead, you see a cave opening, and you see light flickering from within the cave. It has become dark outside, but you can see light clearly flickering from within the cave. Oh, I'm sorry to leave you on a cliffhanger there. What could be in that cave? Well, so far in this one we've covered the role of the DM, we've covered how to narrate action, how to make a skill check, how to make a saving throw. In the next one we're going to get into some real combat against something that hits back, something that is not made of rope and does not simply fall from a tree. So that should be fun. Until then, make sure you give this one a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment below, let me know what you think, and everybody take care. Until next time, happy gaming.